to look at what may have triggered essentially a rebound that we were seeing, although with the exception of what's happening in today's market.
Yeah, well, let's just consider maybe the last few days. But, I mean, even today, like, we've seen some wobbles, and as you mentioned, the early gains that have kind of given back a little bit. But it's interesting. There's this adage that kind of flows around the financial circles that once the general public, I'm not trying to sound elitist here at all, but once the general public starts picking up on stock market stories and starts making front pages of local papers and stuff like that.
Whether they're positive or negative, you're saying.
Exactly. Whether it's just there.
As long as it's on the front page.
Yeah, you know, like Farmer Dan's not like fixing his tractor. It's like stock market. Then the stock market might have actually bottomed. And so I'm thinking, you know, I thought to myself a few days ago, like, well, how can we actually measure this? Let's move it into the 21st century. Let's look at Google Trends. Let's see how many people are actually searching for the term stock market and if there's any correlation with this.
And what did you find?
Well, there's a pretty strong correlation between when people are, like, everyone is talking about stock markets and when the market, at least over the past 4 years, has bottomed out. The S&P 500, every single time this Google trend goes up to 100 of the
Let's see if we can get that up.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We have a chart that shows you exactly what's happening.
There
so
we
walk
go.
us through what we're seeing on this chart right here.
Yeah, so that red sort of filled area right now, it's actually inverted. You have 0 to 100, and that's the Google trend. 100 would be at the very bottom. So each time that trend hits 100, you can kind of see a sort of correlated dip in the S&P 500. Which has then triggered rallies ever since.
So to interpret this, what we're saying is you essentially see people are stopping selling. They're not selling right now.
Exactly.
And they're looking to scoop up names?
Yeah, it could be that. It could be like people are talking about it, but all the institutional players have already moved in and made their moves, and now Joe Q Public is out there talking about it, which is essentially
one
probably
step behind.
too late.
Okay, probably late. So what do you see as a result of this? Why is this happening?
It's interesting. It's just it seems to be something that's repeated over and over and over again. I don't think there is any sort of deterministic explanation as to why this happens.
It's interesting. It's really fascinating. Okay, so what's overbought at the moment?
Okay, well, with this recent pullback that we saw, and now the kind of rebound that we've had, we have overbought stocks. The most interesting one is Domino's Pizza right now. We're using this measure called the
I love Domino's Pizza. I was sharing this to you earlier. I missed this so much in Hong Kong.
I think
we just couldn't get good thin crust pizza.
Is disgusting.
Oh, my favorite.
It's so bad.
Favorite.
Why would you like default to that? But
Serious
apparently
cravings.
traders like it. The RSI is just measuring the sort of overbought, oversold conditions of the stock, and that is actually the fourth most overbought stock in the Russell 1000 over the past year. Basically.
Okay. On the flip side, what's being oversold at the moment?
Well, the biggest one right now is IBM, which kind of makes sense. The RSI is kind of a tricky indicator.
Big Blue had some problems recently.
Exactly, just a few problems, and they divested their chip unit, or if I recall correctly, and Urban Outfitters too, which also had some major problems. The RSI could be tricky because it could be too early of an indicator with really sharp price movements, but in this case, it seems to be appropriate. Maybe it's a chance to buy into the weakness, especially if we see a broader rally.
I wonder if when these names are on the front page of these various periodicals, there's certain names that get certain reactions. For example, if it's like the big names that people are familiar with, they get more of the movements versus names that people aren't familiar with. Well, everyone knows a Domino's, everyone knows an IBM, everyone maybe knows an Urban Outfitters.
No, definitely, and maybe you might have just given us an idea for another segment in the next couple of weeks. No, because, I mean, everyone's talking Apple, everyone's talking IBM. The big blue chip companies that every investor knows are going to be the ones that make headlines generally.